Coming up, a newly discovered planet is as big as its star. Canada's first space tourist, a little bit of a clown. NASA's cleared Endeavour for a June 13th launch, and we have a live interview with Fernando de la Pena of Mexico's newly formed space agency. Oh, of course, we've got a little bit of an ISDC wrap-up and a whole lot more on this June 5th edition of Spacevidcast Live. Spacevidcast Live. My name is Benjamin Higginbotham. With me, as always, is the beautiful, wonderful, lovely, talented, and very orange Carrie-Ann Higginbotham. Wish you've got orange on today. It's like very orange. It's awesome. I like it. We are the Spacevidcasters, and this is the first episode back after ISDC, and I want to actually apologize on the air to Max Q because I asked him to build the STS-125 video before. I was like, we need to have it by last Thursday. We got to have it at ISDC. We're going to roll it in the show, and we do the show, and then I just promptly ignore the video. I don't roll it at all. Yeah, no. So, Kath, there's one called STS-125. Let's go ahead and take a look at that right now. awesome. That is the STS-125 recap video, and that was the final servicing mission to the Hubble Space Telescope, which is hardcore cool. And actually I'm going to do these news items completely out of order because we were going to do that last, but it makes sense to do. STS-127 is going to be launching shortly with Space Shuttle Endeavour, and they're going back up to the International Space Station to be they're finishing up the Japanese module up there, if I remember correctly, on 127.
You mean it's not a toilet thing or a urine water thing?
It usually is, isn't it? We're usually going up for, we're going to replace the toilet, we're going to fix the toilet, we're going to add a toilet. That's one way or another. It always seems like they're doing something with the toilet up there. But no, 127 will be going up not this Saturday, well, theoretically, right? Not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. And that stands to be pretty darn cool. Yeah. And you can watch high-definition coverage of that right here on Spacevidcast.com. I could be mistaken, but I believe we are the only website that has high-definition coverage on the internet of shuttle launches, and I think that's hardcore awesome.
Very.
Let's start off with the regular old space news, shall we?
Yeah.
Here we go. Ooh, space. I did not test that before this show. You like that?
It's pretty.
Yeah. That's wait, hang on, let me just go this way. Wow. Yeah. We may end up going back to this. That's what happens when you try to mix and match resolutions.
Mix and max?
Oops. That's why we're internet television, ladies and gentlemen. All right, there is a newly discovered planet that is as big as the star that it rotates around. I didn't read up any of these space news items.
Oh, okay. So it's Carrie-Anne space news.
Yes, Carrie-Anne space news today.
Not a problem then. What's going on is that there is a star named VB10, capital V as in Victor, capital B as in Ben, dash 10.
Yep.
And they happen to have found a planet that orbits this star, but it's almost as big as the star.
That's impressive.
Because the planet itself is about the size of, like, say, Jupiter or so, and the star is just like a red giant.
Is it a gas giant star, or is it actually like made of rock like Earth?
The star or the planet?
The planet.
The planet is more of a gas giant.
Okay.
However, because they are so big and they're kind of circling each other, sort of, kind of, the thought process is that there might be smaller, more rocky planets in between the two.
Ooh, Earth-like planets?
Yes, and because the planet itself is so close to the star that it's circling, or its particular sun, it's possible that there would be a rocky planet big enough and with enough water and all of that other stuff that's not too hot, that's not like a Mercury or Venus or Mars. Well, I guess Mars is cold, but you know what I'm saying. That there could be an Earth-like planet out there is pretty much what it comes down to.
Wow.
So that's a very big deal. The funniest part to me is that because the star, because they find stars are really easy to find. That's called VB10. Well, they didn't know what to call the planet, so they called it VB10b.
Why don't they call it like VB10S for star? Why B?
I don't know. VB10P? VB10J?
Why not just call it the star of VB10?
VB10 as well? I don't know. I'm
Astronomers.
Not really sure. I'm sure there's a perfectly logical reason for all of it, but yeah, no, I have.
Now, actually, if I may for a moment, imagine living on VB10. No, you wouldn't live on VB10. You live on one of the rocky planets because VB10 would probably crush you. But
yes, exactly.
Right?
You would not
it's like
be
trying
on
to live on
Jupiter.
Saturn. You just get sucked in and crushed in the middle.
Right.
Giant. But imagine living on one of the rocky planets around it. That's the Earth-like planet. And you look up, and you've got your sun in one direction. You look up the other direction, and there's this huge freaking planet.
And you're like this teeny tiny thing right in the
it's
middle.
like boom, boom. And imagine having a moon there. It'd be like boom, boom, boom. Be like, ah, we're so tiny.
I think it would be kind of cool looking, though, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
I'm saying
Shot down for that one.
No, actually.
No,
No, I was following. There was a mouse that went across the screen, so I was paying attention to the mouse. Next, we've got the Canadian Space. Ooh, Canadian Space.
You
know, I've been doing this all day long.
I know. Okay. So
and by the way, Gisik, Pluto is not a planet.
Gisick, and this headline was specifically written for Gisick and B. Maxors, or Brady.
Yep.
Canada's first space tourist is a clown.
Quite literally.
What else do you need to know, really? Well, OM is saying Pluto's a planet. Pluto's a planet when we were growing up, but it no longer is. Anyhow, point is that the guy who started Cirque du Soleil, and if you're not familiar with Cirque du Soleil, get familiar with Cirque du Soleil because it's totally worth it. One of the best acts out there, I think, in general. But, you know, he's a guy, he's got lots of money, just like Richard Garriott, and he said, boom, I'm going to space.
I'm going to space.
That's what's up.
Upside down,
just
while
so
balancing on this ball.
Right, well, right, that's the other part. Isn't that great? Yeah. Be like Cirque in space.
Oh, that would be cool.
What I think that means we'll get a really awesome show out of this. Because once he comes down, he's going to have all of these ideas.
Or it'll be completely lame, one of the two. He'd be like, let's try this, and it just doesn't work with gravity.
With damn gravity.
Yeah, stupid gravity.
Yeah, but you could do it in water. He's already got a water one going.
That's true. He got a couple water ones.
Maybe we could do one with like Jello. That'd be okay. Never mind. I'm sorry. We're totally going off on a tangent. But in any case, so that's kind of exciting. That first of all, Canada finally gets a space tourist of sorts, and he happens to be a clown, which makes for good headlines, I think.
You're so easily used.
I know. I'm so evil. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you are.
Oh, well.
All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to be talking with Fernando de la Pena. I hope I got that right. He can nod yes or no and be like, I don't know. Of Mexico's brand new space agency. He is, I believe, the lead engineer. We'll have to clarify that.
He's the guy.
He's one of the lead guys over there. And we'll be talking about their brand new space agency
horrible.
and where they're going from there. And Gisick, thank you. Full speed for full clowns.
Yes.
That's a fantastic reference to STS-119, I believe it was. Full power, full science.
Yeah, there you go.
And in this break, notice a couple things. Check out the STS-127 promo video. It's hot and awesome. We'll be right back.
Hello and welcome to the Crow River Coffee Company in Watertown, Minnesota. Situated on the bank of the beautiful Crow River, we offer espresso drinks, delicious food, live music, bulk beans, and artisan items. You can see us at crowrivercoffee.com. Thanks.
Singing along. They're trying to read. Stop it. Stop it. They're trying to read. Stop it.
Well, no.
They were trying to read.
No, they were listening to me going, boop, boop,
I know
blah.
they were listening to you. They shouldn't have been.
We put in new music because everyone was like, blah, 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 blah. I don't like that old music. It's so annoying. So then I gave you that new music, and it's like, boop, boop, blah. All right, you know, we do these shows live every week from the Crow River Coffee Company, and the Crow River Coffee Company is not only nice enough to host us here for free, by the way, but also to allow us to put a giant 8-foot satellite dish in pretty much their backyard so that we can give you NASA high-definition coverage. And so we give big props to the Crow River Coffee Company in addition to all those really cool things. You know, some of these launches get delayed.
As if that wasn't cool enough.
Not cool enough. Some of these launches get delayed until like 2, 3 in the morning, and you just need something to keep you going. And oh my goodness, we're at a coffee company, and so we have a coffee of the month. Being that it's a new month, we've got a new blend, and this month's coffee of the month,
You'll never believe it.
Blast Off Blend. You like that? A special blend just for Spacevidcast called Blast Off Blend.
People are already calling to have some of it in there.
Or they're asking where the beer of the month is, and no alcohol yet. And you can go to crowrivercoffee.com and get your Blast Off Blend. And not only will you get an awesome bag of Blast Off Blend with that, that's the logo for the coffee. You'll also get a Spacevidcast sticker, which is signed by you and me.
Him and I.
Awesome.
Me and him.
So check that out. Go to Crow River Coffee, and by helping them, you help yourself because you can stay up late, and that helps us because
we get 2 cents
somehow
off of every
you help
bag.
yourself. I don't know, and you help us somehow magically.
Help us, help you, help us.
Absolutely. We've got with us Fernando de la Pena from the Mexican Space Agency. Fernando, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
So tell us a little bit, the Mexican Space Agency is, as I understand it, brand new. Can you tell us a little bit about what the Mexican Space Agency, what you guys are all about? Because you're not going to be sitting there launching rockets next month. I mean, where did you get started? What are some of your plans?
You don't know.
Oh, they're not going to. No, come on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the Mexican Space Agency, AEXA, is not created yet. We are in the process of creating the Mexican Space Agency. Let me give you a brief history about that. In 2005, with the help of the lower chamber, we created the Bill of Law to create the Mexican Space Agency. That Bill of Law was approved in 2006 and sent to the Mexican Senate. The upper chamber of the Mexican Senate approved it unanimously in 2008, but they made some changes in the text of the Bill of Law, so it was sent back again to the lower chamber. So now we are waiting for the final approval of the Mexican Space Agency that we expect that could be sometime between September and November of this year when the new Congress will be on the chamber, because we will have a new Congress on September. And yeah, we have several ideas of what we want to do, but we will not want to launch rockets in the first stage of the agency.
No, that would be a massively huge undertaking. So it is a little bit confusing because you have been approved, but because changes in the way the document were made, you have to be approved again. Is that kind of what I'm understanding? Like the changes have to be approved now? Is that correct?
Yeah, the law says that if you create a bill of law in, for example, the lower chamber, and you send it to the Mexican Senate, you will have an approval. But if the Mexican Senate, the upper chamber, made any change to the text, the law says that needs to send it back to the lower chamber just to approve the changes, because actually AEXA, the Mexican Space Agency, was approved on the lower chamber and the upper chamber. But now we are just waiting for the final approval of the changes, and that will happen probably on September or between September and November.
Now, being that it was a unanimous decision before, it's a fairly safe bet, I would assume, that it's going to be approved again and that you're going to be ready to go. Now, assuming that's the case, where are you guys going to start? What are you guys going to start doing right out the gates?
Well, after we have the approval, let me give you some history, and you will know about that. There are about 45 space agencies in the world, and we already had a meeting with people of NASA, people of the Russian Space Agency, Brazil, Argentina, and several space agencies. So what we want to do after we have the approval is to enter in international collaboration programs with several space agencies. We already find some probably niches in Mexico. We have experience on making satellites, small satellites like pico satellites or nano satellites, so we can help to build the lunar positioning system with making some small satellites in Mexico. We also have experience on mechanical engineering. We have a lot of engineers here, so we can help to build some of the components of the lunar rover, or the new lunar rover. And the other issue is that we already have a lot of experience on textiles, so we can help to create some of the materials for the lunar habitats. So that's one of the tasks that we want to do. And also we want to explore the space tourism, because we can create a launch platform with a foreign company on Yucatan, because we are very near of the equator. So that will be a very good point if you want to send suborbital planes for tourists. Yucatan is a good place. So that's what are the first steps of the Mexican Space Agency, and we are need to have a huge program, about 20 years. We are working on this program with the help of another space agencies. What will be the future of the space agency after 1 year, 5 years, and 20 years?
So, a question was brought up in the chat room, which is, there are a bunch of companies that are already building satellites and helping with rovers. The big names in the industry, the Boeings, the Lockheeds, the Orbitals. What is the Mexican Space Agency going to bring to the table that these other companies aren't doing today? Are you going to be doing something different? Are you going to compete on price? Is there going to be an addition to the product that these other companies aren't doing? What is your value add to say, because you talked about building satellites, kind of one of your first stages.
Well, we want to make something different. Actually, the actual satellite providers, they make the huge satellites. We are trying to make small satellites, about 1 kilogram of size, that very, very small satellites that will be enough to create a GPS on the moon, a lunar positioning system. And we want to find some niches, just like Canada, the Canadian robotic arm. They found a niche with the Canadian space arm. So if you see the space shuttle, if you see the International Space Station, the robotic arm is from Canada. So what we want to do is to create something different when we can find a niche. Because if we are going to take the first steps with the Mexican Space Agency, we cannot compete with another companies or with another countries. So what we want to do for this reason is to enter in collaboration programs with another countries, international collaboration programs, so we can find some niches and create a Mexican space industry, because at this time we don't have a Mexican space industry.
One of the things that was brought up in the chat room is that it sounds like you're trying to focus on a little bit of the commercial side, and it sounds like, as you're mentioning, you want to kind of carve out a niche for yourself, much like Canada did with the robotics, Dexter, Canadarm2, so forth and so on. But you also mentioned you guys are very close to the equator. You are an ideal launch site at that point for getting into orbit. Is down the road, is that something you're going to be targeting as well? Building out, maybe not building your own rockets, but building your own launch facilities where other countries can come in to launch their rockets from?
I could not hear you fine, but what, I'm having some problems hearing you. What was the question, sorry?
Basically, are you going to use your location near the equator as a way to lure other countries in to launch at your launch sites in the future? Would you build launch sites so that other spacefaring agencies, ESA, JAXA, Virgin Galactic, the U.S., would you have launch facilities that we'd launch from? Maybe not build your own rockets, but your own launch facilities.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things that we want to do is to use the location of Yucatan, so other countries, other space agencies can work with us to launch not just rockets, also can you send the tourist ships that are going to send to the space for the first tourists in the space, like Virgin Galactic or another countries. So Yucatan will be a good place to do that, and we can use the location. And in the future, probably in 5 years, we can build our own launch platform, a Mexican launch platform. But in the meantime, the first step is to offer to another companies or from other countries the location of Yucatan.
That sounds cool. I mean, they're mentioning in the chat room possibly another port for sea launch. You mentioned Virgin Galactic. There's X-Core. There seems like there's a phenomenal amount of opportunity, and just frankly, your position on the planet makes you an ideal location for being able to launch this stuff. So that's going to be cool. Developing the satellites, carving out your niche, and then carving out a launch area. These are all great things, and part of the reason we wanted to bring you on is because one of the soapboxes we have is getting more people engaged and interested about space travel, and the more launch sites we can get in the more locations around the world, the more exciting it gets. Imagine having a Virgin Galactic Spaceship 2 landing in multiple locations in Mexico. It just makes it really easy for space tourism to start to take off and driving that cost further and further down. So we're really excited to see what you guys have coming up. I certainly hope that the next part of your, I certainly hope you guys do go through the final formation of building the agency. It sounds like it's pretty much, for the most part, it's done. You got to wait for the official sign off in, what was it, October-ish or so. But if we've got a couple of viewers in Mexico, and if some of them want to start getting involved in helping out in any way, shape, or form, where can they go and who can they contact?
Yeah, and also let me tell you something. Here in Mexico, we have a lot of good engineers, good scientists. Just for the statistics, every year we have double engineers graduated here in Mexico than in the United States. The problem is here in Mexico, we don't have the opportunities and we don't have the facilities for these people, so they need to go to another countries. What we want to do also is create also Mexican space programs with the people that we have. So we're trying to find three different branches. The first one will be international space programs in cooperation with another countries. The second one is to try to bring people, Mexican people that already left the country or that already went to study to another country, to give us the experience that they already have. And the other one is to making a commercial branch of the space agency. All the things that we are creating, we want to, through companies, to contractor companies, to make this commercial so they can create a profit, and the space industry will be more profitable for Mexico, because we are not going to begin with a huge budget. So we need to help the investors, the private investors, for the first year or for the first and second year of the space agency. So we want to create a commercial branch and local branch with the national programs, national space program, and the other one an international space program branch in the space agency. And about the tourists, that will help us to the economy, because if we bring some tourists, especially with space tourism, that will be brand new with Virgin Galactic and other companies, that will be a main point to bring more tourists to Mexico, and that's a pretty new market.
Now, and speaking of new markets, it was brought up in the chat room. Austin mentioned, are you guys going to make it a little less rigid that, for restrictions in spaceflight than, say, spaceflight in the United States? Because trying to launch something in the U.S. can be painfully difficult. Are you going to make it a little bit easier for companies to set up and launch in Mexico?
Yeah, we need to give them a lot of facilities to make that. If we want to provide the space tourism here in Mexico, we need to give to the companies, make it as smooth as possible to bring them back to Mexico. So because they need to create an infrastructure here in Mexico. So we are working on that. If a company wants to invest in Mexico, probably in Yucatan, to make some launches, we need to give them all the facilities. Also, probably help them to obtain a free land to build the structure and everything, so we can bring a lot of companies here in Mexico.
Cool. Well, it sounds interesting. We're going to be watching you quite a bit in the near future, specifically come around October or so, when hopefully you'll be fully founded and ready to go. And we're excited to see what you guys are going to do in the privatized space sector. Specifically, I think you guys are going to have hopefully a really good year in 2010, and get that year off to a really great start and do some really innovative things in the space tourism and in the niche space markets. Thank you very much for coming on the program, and please don't be a stranger. We'd love to hear any developments that are happening in the Mexican space program.
Yeah, just let me tell you something. We are very excited. Probably we expecting probably 3 months ago to have the approval before April, but because the swine flu, that was delayed until September, October. But one of the good things is that the Mexican Space Agency will begin to work on the bicentenary of the Mexican independence that will be on 2010. And also, if we are some fans of some movies, it will be a remember of 2010, that movie. So 2020 will be a good year for that.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. You know, that's a very good. That's something we haven't ever actually mentioned on the show. Is the movie 2010. Is it still called Space Odyssey?
Yeah, I think so. No.
And you know, space tourism. It's all coming together. It's all gelling. Next year is going to be a really cool year. And we're, like I said, we're really excited to see where you guys go. And I'm really glad that you guys are getting into the game because it was mentioned earlier in the chat room. Can there be too many players in this marketplace? And at this stage, I don't think so. I think I don't see. I mean, eventually there could be, but right now we're so far from that mark. It's not even funny. And it's great to see Mexico stepping up and contributing to the space game.
Yeah, we're really excited about that. 2010 will be a very, very good year for us. We are going to begin our space program because just for the records, we used to have a Mexican Space Agency from 1962 to 1977. The name was Comisión Nacional del Espacio Exterior, but it was closed. So after several years, we are going to have again a space agency, but there is a huge difference. On the 70s, there was a time of Cold War. There was no collaboration about technology. Now there are different times. We can have trading programs, trade of technology between countries, and will be very, very. It will be a very good for the economy of the country because sooner or later we are going to lose the oil here in Mexico. The oil is probably 30 or 40% of the company gross income. So if we don't find new market like a space market, that will be a very good one. We are not have a better country. So it's a good year. We're taking the first steps. The good thing is that we're taking the first steps with another countries. And if you allow me, I wish to send you. We have a web page, so the people that are interested of the Mexican Space Agency can check it online. I will send it to you.
Sure. Just say it out loud for everyone in the chat room. What's the website?
It's www.aexa.tv.
That's AEXA.
That's correct.
.tv, you said, correct?
Yeah.
Yep, awesome. So if anyone wants additional information on the Mexican Space Agency, check out that website. Fernando, thank you very much for joining us. And we'll step back. We'll chat with you again a little bit later on, probably early next year, and see how things are going. It's great to see someone else kind of pushing this technology forward and adding to the industry. So thank you, Fernando, thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, and probably we are going to give you great news sometime this fall after the final approval of the Mexican Space Agency. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and thanks a lot to everybody. Thank you.
It's going to be great. I'm really excited to see what Mexico does. You know, it's just it's one of those things that I never really thought about, but makes a whole lot of sense due to their location near the equator. They are just an optimal launch site, and I think they're going to be able to do a lot of things that the U.S. isn't doing. I don't think there's going to be as much red tape there. I think it's going to be a lot easier for privatized travel to go there, and I think they're going to be able to push. You know, getting people like you and me and mere mortals into space a lot faster than possibly the United States. I know I worry about things like ITAR and other restrictions, but hopefully all of that will be worked out. You know, sometime in 2010. You know, before we go, I did want to touch on the International Space Development Conference, and now that the conference is over, I finally started calling it development instead of developer. I'm glad that that's been happening. You know, we did spend 4 days, I think it was, at ISDC.
Seemed like 10. Oh.
Yeah, at ISDC, and I just wanted to get your quick feedback and opinion on what you thought of the show.
You know, like I was kind of talking to Kath earlier, there were some highs and there were some lows. I came within about 4 feet of Buzz Aldrin.
That's cool. One of 12 men to ever step on the face of the moon.
I was so completely starstruck. I couldn't even do anything. I was just like, and that was it. I mean, that was the end of me. But
One
then
of only 15 to ever see the dark side of the moon.
yes, but at the same time, I think a lot of the presentations, and you can see them online because we've got them all archived, some of the presentations were kind of stuff we already knew.
Yep.
And so that was a little frustrating and even some of the presenters said, well, if you've seen me at ISDC before, you've heard me say blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, then why are you here? Why are you saying it again? If you don't have something new and interesting to say, why repeat it, if that makes any sense?
You know, and I think, you know, obviously we're huge Virgin Galactic fans here. And we love to see Virgin Galactic, but their particular presentation was just, with the exception of about 60 seconds, and that 60-second soundbite was, they're going to be doing Spaceship 2 launches, not rocket launches, but attached to White Knight 2 in 2009.
Yes.
Which puts them right on track. You know, it's a little bit better than what the industry was saying, but pretty much on track what we've been kind of saying before, which is they're going to be doing human launches and human tests, I think, in 2010, and this gets us one step closer to that. And I'm excited to see what they're going to do. But really, it was an hour-long presentation, and 60 seconds of it was really what everyone was waiting for.
60 seconds. I think it was more like 10 seconds. I mean, we are going to be launching in 2009. There you go.
But
that's all we wanted to hear. You could have said that, clap, get off the stage.
But in all fairness, a lot of conferences are that way, and not all the presentations were like that.
Yes.
Buzz Aldrin's keynote presentation, which is available on Spacevidcast now, was awesome. Richard Garriott's keynote presentation, awesome. I actually did enjoy the Aries and Constellation panels. Now, I know that a lot of Spacevidcasters are huge advocates of the Direct program. I actually would argue it's a little bit irrelevant whether you like Direct or not, because we're going with Constellation. And I mean, you can argue your point until you're blue in the face. It's Constellation.
Yeah.
So great. I'm glad that Direct has a good vehicle, but it's Constellation. And so it was really neat to see Aries and the Constellation and Aries panels, and where they're going and what they're planning on doing and how their vehicles are working and where they're at in those stages.
The one thing I will say very quickly, and you know, I personally don't often speak badly of SpaceX specifically, but I will give them one little warm fuzzy in that one of the presenters for SpaceX, I forget her name, but she very specifically beforehand said, I will take all questions and I really want some spicy ones.
And she took them.
And she took them.
Yeah.
Now, we didn't get necessarily the answer we were looking for. You know, we weren't getting the I know. But she took them. She took the answers, or took the questions, she read them to everyone, and then proceeded to answer, you know, give her answer. And I have to give her credit for that, because she very well could have been like, and no. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of people, I kind of felt like, especially in the beginning, a lot of people were like, not this one, not this one, not this one. Oh, probably this one. Oh, and we're out of questions. Sorry.
But I want to give I want to give the organizer of ISDC quick props, because they did allow us to stream the conferences live on the internet, so you're able to watch ISDC live. If you weren't able to attend, you could watch some of the main conferences, not all of them, or main tracks, not all of them, right here at spacevidcast.com, and you could ask your questions, and we would then run them up, and you could actually have your questions answered. And actually, there were some Spacevidcaster questions.
Most of the time, we had BZ Wing Zero, who's in the room right now. We
run him up.
Brian, go do it! You know, throw him up there and turn him in for us, which was awesome. By the way,
if you missed any of ISDC, even though a lot of its recap, as Uncle BS said, you know, it's a recap for some of us, but at the same time, for a lot of people, maybe it's not recap, especially if you're a space newbie, and we certainly try to cater to the people who are passionate about space and think that rockets are cool, but maybe have never really gotten into it before. You haven't found your voice yet. Certainly, check out. Go to spacevidcast.com / I think it's tag/ISDC.
You can also search for just ISDC, and they will all pop up as
Actually,
well.
I think it's /category /ISDC. You can find it right there, big old tags on the Spacevidcast site. Search for ISDC and look at just the plethora of videos that we've got available there. And there's a lot of really awesome and interesting stuff. And actually, there was one chart in particular that I keep coming back to, and I apologize, I don't remember. I think it was on the COTS panel, but I don't remember for sure. And it talked about how the U.S. has always been split approximately 50-50 of Americans who think that we should go to the moon. And what was interesting is that during the Apollo era, that graph started to slide drastically out of 50-50 to most people saying we shouldn't go to the moon.
Right.
It started sliding near the 70 percentile mark of people saying we should not go to the moon. And then on the cusp of us going to the moon, in 68, I think it was, the year where it started going, it just went BAM! Right back down to the middle where it's 50-50 straight up. And it's been kind of 50-50 ever since. But what that tells me is that 50%, approximately 50% of Americans, and I can't really extrapolate this worldwide, I don't have data, but I can say 50% of Americans think that space travel is interesting and cool and worthwhile. But you don't hear these Americans saying anything. You don't hear them saying, we need to invest in Constellation or Direct or whatever you want. I realize Direct, you mentioned earlier, Direct competes with more areas than anything else, but blah, 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 it doesn't matter. We need to invest in these programs. NASA makes sense. I would buy a ticket on Virgin Galactic. I'm interested in seeing where X-Core is going. I want to see space-based solar power. I want to see what we can do. You don't hear these voices. And I don't think people realize how important their voice is, and that a single voice can mean the difference between NASA getting $2 billion in funding and not getting $2 billion in funding. It can mean the difference between Virgin Galactic getting that extra seat that they needed to become a formed company versus not getting that extra seat. It's just one voice.
The thing that you have to take into account, which is what the bureaucracies do take into account, is that for every one voice, whether it be good, bad, or otherwise, there's at least 10 other people who have not had their voice heard, that one person essentially represents, if that makes any sense. So every one person that says something, they're just going to assume that there's another 10 people behind you that are agreeing with you. So the more of us that we can get to say, you know, this is what we're looking for, this is what we're interested in, this is what we believe in, they're just going to think, we got bazillions and bazillions of them.
In the private market, when they see that there's a market for people spending time in a space hotel, a Bigelow, whatever, you know, a Bigelow hotel or whatever you're going to call it, when they see everyone raise their hand and say, I'll spend $10,000 per week there, as they see people committing their money to it, that's when the investors will start to throw their money behind it. That's when the innovation is going to start to occur, and that's when we're going to see a new renaissance, a new era on the planet. It was the Industrial Revolution, then the Computer Revolution, with the internet, I'm kind of wrapping that all together, the information revolution, and now it's going to be the space revolution. And I realize we've been to space for 40 years, but you know what? We had the internet since like 1962, and it took until the 90s to really kick off. So, you know, it's the same deal. It's just, this is the next big revolution. I firmly believe it. I'll get off my soapbox in a minute, but what ISDC brought to me is I mean, obviously we're passionate about space, but it really got me laser focused on that 50% of Americans. It made me realize I need to help them find their voice. I need to rekindle that fire, that passion inside of them when they were kids and they were watching shuttle launches or rocket launches, depending upon their age. I need to find a way to get that fire, that inspiration, that love of space travel. Every human loves to explore, whether they admit it or not. It is built into our DNA. This is something we all want to do. Maybe people don't want NASA to do it, maybe they don't want to pay out of pocket, but one way or another, I do firmly believe that everyone wants to explore, and we need to find a way to make that happen. So that is my commitment to you guys. After ISDC 2009, I'm going to find a way to reinvigorate the human race and get everyone excited about this stuff. I'll get off my soapbox now. It was a pretty big soapbox, wasn't it? I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. This show is a little bit longer than normal, but it was awesome, so it was worth it. I'm really excited about the Mexican Space Agency. That's going to be really cool stuff.
That's very exciting.
Seriously, guys, watch for that. That's just going to be great. You can join us and watch these shows live and participate. You see the chat room at the bottom of the screen. Please come in, participate live. We love to interact with you guys. You can do that every Friday at 2:00 a.m. Coordinated Universal Time. For those of you in the United States, because I know you can't do time zone conversions, that's at 7:00 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 9:00 Central Daylight Time, or 10:00 Eastern Daylight Time. And I'd like to thank everyone for watching. Next week's show is going to be just freaking scary awesome. And then we've got Space Shuttle Endeavour launching shortly thereafter that. As a quick side note, and this is the note before we go, we have lifted the ban on no shows during shuttle launches.
Yep.
So we will continue to do shows even when a shuttle is in the air. So make sure that you continue to watch Spacevidcast. I know everyone's like, woohoo! Yep, we're going to continue doing shows, and we're trying to find a way to crank out a heck of a lot more content. So make sure to tune into spacevidcast.com every week. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week.